When people ask what do you do, answer them whatever it takes. Welcome to IS Point for the Hindu editorial analysis of July 19th. You can hit the like button, subscribe my channel and also give your opinion about the video. Coming to the article now, no common ground on doklam issue. See, to tell about this article, if you don't know anything about this issue or if you want to gather points about this issue, then read this article. Because if you read this article, then you can write everything with respect to the doklam issue, which is written by the National Security Advisor, a former National Security Advisor. So please have a go through. Now coming to the article. See, this article tries to say that this region belonged to Bhutan and the importance of Chumbi Valley, and it says that Chumbi Valley is important to India. See, the problem with Chumbi Valley and why it is important to India is because of the Siliguri Point or Chicken Neck, which happens to be present in West Bengal. So, if Chinese presence here, then their access to Siliguri Point becomes very easy. So, that is why the Chumbi Valley is important for India. Right? So, this article tries to say is, this doklam issue or the doklam standoff is nothing but the difference of opinion between the two. That is, India and Bhutan on one side and Chinese on other. So, if someone asks you what is doklam issue, then you can say that it is the difference of opinion between the two. Fine. So, this article also tries to bring in an friendship treaty, that is India-Bhutan friendship treaty, which was signed in the year 2007, where two nations were committed to cooperate on issues relating to national interest. So, this article tries to say that it is India's commitment to this treaty and that's why they are standing here. That is, government mentions that India is presenting its troop in this region because it has signed India-Bhutan friendship treaty. See guys, this is a very clever move which is moved by an Indian government, because see, even Chinese present in this region is a threat to India because of the Siliguri Point, which I have explained you. But what India tries to do is, it tries to depict in such a way that it is helping Bhutan. At the same time, it is securing its own interest. Fine. And this article also tries to bring in a background with respect to this issue and talks about the Anglo-Chinese Convention of 1890. So, it is according to this convention, the Sikkim border with China was not in dispute, but now it is in a case of dispute. And it also tries to bring in few factual information about this issue. That is, it mentions two places. One happens to be Batangla and the other one happens to be Gipmochi. Fine. So, it says that the Indian government or the Indian side puts Batangla as the border while the Chinese claims Gipmochi as the border. See, accepting Gipmochi as the border will give more region to China. So that is what with respect to this issue. And this article also tries to claim that Chinese claims are of cartographic aggression. That is, their interest is of territorial jurisdiction. But for India, it is the security and the sovereignty of the nation which is at stake. So one could see the importance of this issue. And if you come to Bhutan, then it is also their own sovereignty which is at stake. But for China, it is only a territorial jurisdiction. They just want to ensure that their territory is secured. But it is not the case with other nations. So that's why it prompted India and Bhutan to have a difference of opinion with China. So this article also tries to say that China has also long-eyed this region. That is, it took into consideration the region over a long period of time. It is only now a step have been taken from Chinese government. And this article also tries to say that the diplomatic talks between China and Bhutan was held regularly, but none could reach a solution. And it shows that China's non-willingness to make a generous solution. And even if China gives a solution or a demand, it wants an hold in the doklam patio, which is an unacceptable demand. And with respect to India, even Chinese makes difficult conditions for engaging in dialogues. For instance, China claims that India should withdraw its troops from the region in order to engage in a diplomatic talk. So this happens to be a difficult condition for India. And this is an unacceptable demand. So one could feel here that how stringent the Chinese is with respect to this issue, and this could showcase their seriousness with respect to this territory. And even this article tries to say that there was no informal talks on the G20. That is, generally these forums like G20 or BRICS can be used where in a sideline manner or in an informal way, one could engage in dialogue with the other nation to bring in a solution or to represent the views of their own interest. But even the G20 forum was not used. Hopefully the BRICS meeting which is going to held in the future could be utilized. So it says that one could see with this consequences that China is very much determined to hold its position. So do India, and India will also not step back. So here lies a case of conflict, and when come to China, it is an dispute of territorial jurisdiction, while for India, it is an issue of national security because of the Siliguri point. And this article also tries to say that one has to look this issue from the Chinese point of view. Fine. What we have seen is from the Indian point of view, but one has to look also from the Chinese point of view. From Chinese point of view, China give no importance to the friendship treaty, that is the friendship treaty between India and Bhutan. It does not give importance to that, and why it should. And for China, it feels that it could bring in solution with Bhutan, but it is India which is interfering in its own arena. So this is what the Chinese feels. So even one has to look with their own respective. See, one could compare this with Pakistan. India and Pakistan has an dispute over POK. But we feel that it is the Chinese presence in this region makes this conflict more difficult. So one could also apply the logic over here. What I am telling is from the Chinese point of view. Fine. So the article also tries to say that the only good news with respect to this issue is both are reluctant to open conflict. That is, both do not want to engage in war again. Fine. It is because of many reasons, that is Chinese has economic slowdown, and even with respect to the economy of India. So the economic factors makes them to be reluctant for an open conflict, which happens to be a good news. So what the solution this article tries to bring in is one should engage in special representative meeting. Fine. So special representative meeting is something which is engaged with respect to the border dispute, and this article tries to say that one should engage in special representative meeting to bring in modus vivendi, that is a solution to this. So that's it with respect to this article. So coming to the first article, get real on Switch. See, before going into this article, I'll just like to make one point that before reading an editorial, you have to ask a question in your mind that if this question, that is, if the question from this area comes in, then what is the answer which I'll be writing? Fine. If you think in this way, see, this is my own approach of viewing an editorial, and I feel I'm quite successful in doing that. So what you have to do is, for instance, I'll give you an example. If the first article is all about the Swachh Bharat, then you have to bring down all the points which you know about the Swachh Bharat, because at the end of the day, it is your answer writing and it is your thinking capability in the mains answer writing room which will help you. So think in that way that if this section comes into play, then what I am going to write, and then read the article. Because if you read this article in such a way, then it will help you to gather more points, first thing. And then if you feel that the article is lacking points, or you feel that these points cannot be useful in writing or mains answer writing, then I please request you to go into the background, which we'll do in the article now. See, the first article is all about the Swachh Bharat, and I personally feel that anyone can write more than 5 points or 6 points with respect to the manual scavenging. Fine. So what I am doing now is I am going into an act, that is Manual Scavenging and Rehabilitation Act 2013, which was passed to prohibit manual scavenging. So what I am doing is I am going into the background now, then I will go into this article. While doing in this way, it will help you to gather more points. I hope this information is useful, and this is my personal opinion. It may vary from person to person, but I would suggest that many of my friends does this, and even I do this, and I am quite successful, and it has helped me a lot. So coming to the background now, that is with respect to the Manual Scavengers and the Rehabilitation Act 2013. This act prohibited the manual scavenging, and it also provided them with the alternative employment. Plus, it also focused on survey, and it also provided with the implementing agency. See guys, I have given you in the point format. It is self-explanatory in nature. I just want you to read this and add your points. So coming to the article now, get real on Swachh. See, this article tries to say that despite having stringent provision, that is the act which we saw in the background, it says that in spite of prevalence of this act, the manual scavenging is still prevalent in India. And it also tries to say that the recent evidence could be the Madras High Court has asked the Tamil Nadu government to enforce the Manual Scavengers Act in a strict manner. It is because few people have died because of this manual scavenging. And this article tries to say that till now, it is unable to break the government indifferences and the social prejudice. See, social prejudice is something which is called as a negative value against a group of people, or it is an stereotypic feeling or a negative attitude towards a group of people. So that is what the social prejudice means. So this article tries to say that in spite of prevailing act, it is unable to make differences with respect to the social prejudice. See, government has done many campaigns, but still it is unable to break it. And this article also tries to give many points. So what I have did is I have divided the points into two, one into reasons and the other for the solutions. So the reasons which the article give for the prevalence of Swachh Bharat is because of the prevailing of insanitary latrines, and even the state government is not demolishing the old facilities, and it is the lack of data. The government cannot take necessary action, so census needed to be taken. And this article also tries to say that the fund reduction in the recent budget for the employment generation of manual scavenging has been reduced. See, this article tries to say that the basic agenda of the present government is for the Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, but the fund reduction in the budget seems to be an paradox. And it also tries to say that this law is only on the paper. While saying this article tries to say that one needs to go a campaign against the social prejudice which is prevalent. So campaign needs to be taken, and one should go with the employment opportunity and empowerment through educational and employment, economic empowerment and educational empowerment should be bring in, and one needs to break the caste barrier. Fine. So this is what the article tries to say as a solution. And this article also tries to mention a few prejudice which is prevailing as an example, which can be useful in your answer writing. It says that in still many communities there is a ritual for not constructing toilets because it is seen as an uncleanliness with respect to their house. So many communities do not construct latrine, and it also tries to say that even one who construct latrine, they construct in inefficient and unscientific way, which is not in respect according to the guidelines which is given by WHO, and the caste barrier which is prevailing towards the Dalit, that this work belongs to them. So these are the social prejudice which is given in the article, which can be helpful in writing your mains answer writing. So that's it with respect to this article. So coming to the next article, the endogen excesses. See, this article is not very much important with respect to UPSC mains point of view, but for prelims, they may ask question if at all is possible, but possibility is very less. So coming to the article now, see, this article is all about the recent military coup in Turkey. See, there is a democratic government which is prevailing in Turkey right now. So what happened is, there is a military attack on the democratic government. So a military coup was against the democratic government. It was trying to bring down the democratic government and was trying to establish its military form of government. So this was defended by the people of Turkey, who came into streets and protested against the military coup, and they were succeeded. So right now it is the democratic government which is prevailing in Turkey. Fine. So this is the essence of the article. Now coming to the movement which is called as Gulen Movement. See, Gulen Movement happened to be a movement which is an Islamic transnational religious and socio movement which is led by an preacher who is called as Fatihullah Gulen. Fine. See, I'll give you the essence of this movement. This person Gulen happens to be an person from USA, and he believes in modern education. So he brings in modern education in Turkey. Fine. So this is the essence of his movement, and he has built in many schools in Turkey, and he is quite successful also in reviving the Orthodox Islam. So this movement is also called as Hizmat in Turkey. So it's enough to know this with respect to UPSC point of view, and that's it for today. Thank you for watching.